Greetings everyone and welcome to Link with OnLink, where we talk about the outbound Russian travel. Today our guest is Artur Muradian, the CEO of Space Travel. Artur is very young, dynamic, structured and very fast, especially when he's behind the wheel, since his hobby is car racing. Artur grew up in a family with hospitality background. However, before joining the business himself, he worked in some of the Big Four finance and auditing firms like Deloitte and Young and Ernst. Therefore, you will notice and you will surely enjoy Artur's analytical set of mind. He talks a lot about the laws and how to impact them, and will share with us his vision on the future and the trends of the outbound Russian travel. Welcome, Artur. Welcome, Artur.
Narjess, hi, dear partners. Hi from Russia. I'm well aware that not a lot of news are coming from our side, especially from the tourism segment, but I would like to thank Narjess for giving me opportunity to speak about what's going on with the tourism in our country and what perspective there will be and issues that we are facing currently. So first of all, let's talk what is happening. Basically, our president has granted us holidays that have to be paid by the employee, which is
this
extremely
is a big question mark for everyone.
I think all private entrepreneurs, all the business companies except the government segment are still questioning, did he have a right to do so, to leave people at home and make somebody pay for their stay at home? I mean, we do understand why he has inflicted such a decision, but currently I would say that it has a huge negative effect, because not only the tourism has stopped in Russia with the national quarantine. Basically, it's not called quarantine, it's called self-isolation, which is a new word that has no meaning in Russian legal legislations, and we are still looking up to what will the process of rechanging and reforming the laws will be. Currently, so what we have with the Russian companies, especially from non-essential part, are requested to stay at home, and the business has to be either stopped completely or has to be done away from home. As you know, with tourism, we are facing a strange situation. Even though we're not essential, even though we definitely can stay at home, but still there are a lot of issues that have to be settled right now. So talking
like
about
the cancellations and the booking
yes,
process,
we have
right?
the first of all, we had 3 waves, I would say, of cancellations and requests to postpone the trips. Initially, tourists with their travel agents tried to get a full refund due to the inability to travel outside of Russia. As you know, the borders are closed worldwide, not only in here. But strange thing, by the Russian legislation right now, we have a huge conflict with law, consumers law and the tourism law. If we look at the consumers law, it clearly states that if a person has not evoked his right to fulfill the contract or to travel, he has I mean, he can eligibly ask for 100% refund. If you talk about the tourism law, that has a special governing force, which is equivalent of the consumer law in terms of the Russian hierarchy of laws, it states that only for 4 countries you can ask for a full refund. That's Italy, South Korea, China, and Iran. Yes, only for those countries. Other countries are evicted from it because there were no public acts of government bodies saying that it's forbidden to travel to such destinations. At the same time, the consumer law clearly states if you cannot use your travel plans, you will get a refund. So now we are facing a big standoff in courts if the matter will reach there, where the judges have to basically apply one of the laws. Second of all, what we see that all tour operators have seized a lot of their activities, not only in terms of creating new programs, but overall the operations is slowly shutting down, and travel plans are either asked to be postponed or the money should be used as a deposit under the name of the certain tourism. We have an issue that a lot of clients are worried that, do we have the money? Do the suppliers have the money? How does this work? And a lot of tour operators are trying not to speak about this matter, which is, I believe, is absolutely incorrect.
Yeah.
I mean, we should clearly state that at least 70-80% of the money that we accumulated from the clients, especially for the tours that should have started end of March and mid of April, were at least in our company have been prepaid in a lot in more way than we could imagine. Plus, we have like we have a deposits that would initially come back to us as soon as the seasons would end, depending on each country. So yes, we should clearly state that the money are there. Second thing, right now Russian law does not provide the opportunity to deposit the money. This is the issue that we've been fighting alongside with the national tourism organizations, tourism professional committees, speaking to the Russian tourism authority. It's called Rostourism. It's not a ministry itself. It's a strange body. But right now we are looking up to the process that maybe we will have a chance to not cash back the money to the clients, but to issue a deposit letters, which will grant them opportunity to use the travel under their name for either 12 to 18 months period. After that, only they will have a chance to apply for a refund if they have not used it. This is the matter that has been spoken out by IATA. If you know, they have issued a letter to the airlines saying that a refund and deposit voucher, they call it, or I don't know what, the deposit guarantee letter is the equivalent of a total refund. Hopefully, this will calm the market down. Same thing, we are seeing some inappropriate behavior, because right now, I mean, Russian tourism industry has, for the first time in my life, and I've been doing it since 2012, and my first work was 2005 in the Russian travel company before going to the Big Four. I see that the whole market has united as professionals of the market. Travel agents, tour operators, and hoteliers mostly are following the same line. We cannot do the refund now. We are ready to accommodate you when you are ready. Later. And having this unity is actually calms the market down. And this is what we're trying to achieve, to maintain this unity without anyone. I mean, for example, our company has a chance to do some of the refunds, even though now, but I understand the liability by the Russian law. If I do the refund, agent has to refund his commission as well, which leaves them with absolutely no income at all, because we are bigger. Definitely we have more resources to stay on alive with this national paid holiday, but for the small companies that make up the Russian tour industry, the tour agents, their commission cannot be left with them under the law. This is another issue that we've been fighting, to change the law and to set a minimum cost that each party can bear without returning to the client. For example, we have done our work producing a program, the tour agent has done his work selling it to the client. I mean, his liability ends there. He cannot be held liable for the world pandemic and the situation beyond anyone's control. So
there are a lot of unclarity basically about the law. It's a force majeure. Nobody was ready for it, but even to take any decision right now, everybody was on so-called holiday anyway. So it's a lot of questions from the agency.
Again, yesterday our governing, the higher Supreme Court has issued a strange letter explaining the current situation, and they have put so much water and unclarity in it that right now it's like it's working time but not working time, it's force majeure but it's not force majeure. So we're expecting a lot of unhappy people writing even in Russia because of the amount of contracts that have not been fully filled. Talking about the tourism is one segment, but slowly the economy begins to shift to the more essential parts of it. The crisis means starts to shift. So the second thing that we come across is that some suppliers have begun dealing behind our back.
I've heard you actually talking about that. Yeah, I know that actually, in fact, I have to, just to give you some background as well, Artur has been quite busy, in fact, talking and trying to answer many of these questions to the agencies. You have been doing live Facebooks and answering questions of the agencies who are also just as lost and trying to make meaning of these laws that are coming out. And I remember, hearing you mentioning that there were some hotels who were contacting your clients, asking for, encouraging them to book directly, so they,
and the story does not just end with contacting the clients. The things they say to the clients are right now are, in my opinion, are something you expect enemy to do. One thing they would said that if you have booked directly from us, you would have returned, you gained the full refund, which I believe is a total lie, because right now we are more well aware that globally partners are not refunding anything until the quarantine measures are lifted in their countries. Second thing, that I would like our partners to understand that answering to the letters, the ones that arrive to you from the clients, does not in Russian law give you a right to do so, because your contractual obligations are between you, DMC, or the tour operator or the travel company, even though the client is the part of the contract. The disclosure of the payment information or the penalty information should remain between the parties who have signed the agreement. This is the essential part of doing business, because right now what we see in Russia, that if with this situation supposedly ending in our favor when the laws will be shifted, the organized tourism can arise, because clients who have booked through travel professionals are secured through the deposits. And some of the hotels, for example, the ones that came through sales who got from booking, are now debating whether or not they should return to the Russian clients. And then again, I mean, right now is the clear time for us to decide, do we want to work directly with the client, or we want to work through the partner system and to exploit and develop the relations between the travel professionals. In my opinion, we at the end, the Russian tour operators will definitely have a list of the hotels who would be dealing behind our back as non-friendly and as violating our contractual obligations. Definitely we will not going to sue, because I would expect when the quarantine will be lifted, any court in any country would be stuffed with all the type of legal matters to settle, and definitely tourism will not be a priority.
Sure. So talking about the hotel and relationship with the hotels, how do you see the collaboration with them in the nearest future, and then in short term and long term? So what are your expectations in terms of
first of all, if we look at the problem, we need to settle the first matter should be settled is postponing or changing the travel dates. This has to be done in a manner as friendly and as loyal as possible to the clients. I would definitely understand hotels that had a booking, for example, end of March, and the customer just wants to book it for the new year. You are in your true right to refuse this type of exchange, because it's, in my opinion, has to be a fair amount of dates. But again, if you have the opportunity, do so. Please provide a letter of saying gratitude that the client has stayed with your company, who has provided services through travel company in the country mentioned above, and this would definitely improve the overall reputation, not of just the hotel, but all the chain of supply. Second thing that I see, the hotels in next 2-3 weeks, when we will get back to work, I hope so, but in Russia I think we'll stay till the end of May in this unpleasant paid holiday. We should start thinking of setting a special programs and special initiative to stimulate the organized travel, because I believe the luxury segment will be the one first starting to travel. I believe that the summer season, in my opinion, in Russia will be definitely the worst one in many years, because the countries will not open the borders to tourists coming from abroad. But initiatives should take into consideration special marketing activities, ultra flexible cancellation policies, some offers that would require to make a longer term bookings, and having the assurance that the money would reach, or the partners will agree to confirm the payments, that the payments have been made to the clients. Plus the overall marketing level to B2B and B2C activity has to be increased, because the client will have to be reminded now, as soon as the travel ban will be released, that where, why, and when he travel to the certain location, to the certain hotel.
And I think, Artur, allow me to add here, I think it's very important as well, not only from the hotel perspective, from the destination perspective, also to have clear indications on the travel conditions. For example, I don't know, maybe in the future you would need certain medical information, or were you put on quarantine for a day or two? Will there be any other control at the airport level, etc.? So this is definitely needed from the airport to the destination, to the airlines, the hotels, obviously, as well.
Well, I believe that all suppliers have to talk with their national tourism associations, try to, as quickly as possible, enforce measures as light as possible, because we know that all the boundaries, each boundary set by the government in trying to protect, will influence tourism in a negative way. So we have to influence the possibility to get back to a normal life. This situation has just shown us that we are not prepared for the global effect of a single disease. And allow me to say, even though it has a horrific consequences, I would say the overall effect it had on economy, the measures are exaggerated in many ways. I mean, we should have not fallen so deep and so far with this disease. I mean, I believe there are ways to control it and to sustain. Again, with knowing clearly when the hotel will be open, the property, when the destination will be open, under what conditions, what airlines would fly, what requirements, not just as you said, is essential. And for us travel professionals, we need to have the information first. If our clients will start getting the information before us, it just basically will lose authority. We need to be first on the line to inform people about the news that are happening in resorts. So please keep us up to date, I would say.
Sure. And Artur, you were talking about the supply chain. So do you think there will be any changes? And I'm talking specifically about the Russian market, who is very, I might say, in a way, somehow traditional in its working, in the booking process. Do you think the business model will somehow change moving forward? And especially for the...
the business change is essential right now, but without the changing of the tourism law, I would say for this year, not a lot of things will change in terms of the consumer of the sales structure. The client goes to the agency buys from the tour operator therefore buys either through their own DMC or directly to the hotel. But I believe the number of agencies would go down at least by half, because people are fed up with psychological pressure that they're put by their clients. I believe there will be more direct sales coming from tour operators, and some tour operators have been working in this segment for past few years, and they will definitely increase and just drop off. Third thing, I believe that luxury segment would sustain the same process that it had, like PR. I mean, basically they will travel in the same. I mean, we still have requests, for example, from our VIP clients who are asking, can we authorize a flight from Moscow to Dubai because the client's family has allergy? And I mean, for them the situation is like, nah, we don't care, we have money, can we do so? So for them, yes. But general consumption model, the problem is we have to understand the Russian citizens, the average ones, will not have travel in their priority for the next couple of years. Unfortunately, this is the issue, not only with the COVID-19, but with the oil prices who are plummeting. And as we know, the Russian budget is 40, 60, 70, 90%. We don't really know, they don't tell us, is made of the oil prices, of oil taxes. And very dependent. And again, the negative exchange rate that we're facing, the ruble is dropping, will have an effect. So this is thing as when you'll be charting the prices for the next season, you have to keep in mind increasement is absolutely not a right idea right now for the Russian market. If you look, I would say the same situation remains for the whole CIS. I mean, next week I'm participating in an online conference in Kazakhstan, and I've been asked to speak about issues because they are having the same issues as we are, absolutely the same.
Yeah. And as I know, also you have an office in Armenia, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Regional, so.
Okay. I mean, Armenia, again, overall, the effect on the economy, on the buyers, on consumers' ability to spend money on travel, which is absolutely not first priority, would be decreased. And I mean, having said that the luxury will travel first, I would say luxury and extremely cheap tours. These ones will be awakened first. People who just don't care, I need to travel anywhere for the amount I have. And actually, the middle segment will suffer the most. Yes, it will suffer the most.
And you mentioned that the luxury or high-end segment will be the first to travel. So if you had to narrow that down, do you think it will be families, couples? So how do you think?
Definitely, I would say that the families of people who are receiving their income in currency and they're still there, the people who have property and big business running, they will travel. Second thing, people who want to go somewhere for the destination with the leisure type of activities like beaches and resorts, because right now this is the thing that we are missing in Russia. The summer season for the national beaches in Crimea and Sochi, for example, are locked down until 1st of June. And we can say that people will want to get their kids out of homes because they've missed the spring vacation. They are definitely missing half of the summer or at least all of the summer vacation, and they will travel with kids, and special offers for big families will be much more welcome and preferred, because now I believe more than ever people will try to get the best cost for the services they are used and required. So
yeah. And since you mentioned Sochi and the domestic tourism, so I assume that will be most probably the first as well that will pick up. And as I know, space travel, you also do incoming, so you don't do only outbound, but incoming as well. So that will be the first one. But again, it will depend on the borders opening for international travelers. However, I've seen that on your website you're already selling Russian resorts, right? And so many few tour operators are doing that. So that will be most probably the first to pick up, then the international travel, right?
Definitely, I see as internal tourism picking up first. It's first of all, we have a certain segment of citizens who are banned to travel abroad, so for them they have no options. Second thing, the inbound tourism, we are getting a mixed signals. At one thing, we see that the borders are absolutely closed, and the second thing, we are now talking about e-visa for the whole Russia. I would like to remind you, last year they have submitted that St. Petersburg and the far east of Russia tourists can travel via e-visa, and now the process has been speed up. So I think next year we get e-visa for the whole Russia. This is incredible. I mean, Russia with their bureaucracy procedures to enter the country, it might be a second renaissance period for internal tourism. But Russians in majority don't like to have vacations in Russia. This is due to the climate and psychological need to get out of the country, to go to the beach, to get the proper service that we have been accustomed to for more than 20 years.
Yeah, definitely the infrastructure is still, let's say, catching up domestically.
In many ways, yes, it is. But I mean, the process itself will take, I believe, 5 more years, maybe more.
Okay. So if you come back again to the international travel, so do you think there will be preference for long haul, short haul? I mean, it will of course depends on the openings of the destinations. Will it be a certain destination of choice that clients will be asking for? I mean, you are getting some requests you mentioned. So what are the destinations that they're asking for?
Well, surprisingly for us, UAE and Maldives are the two
Okay.
destinations that we get a request. I definitely see that those two destinations picking up.
Mhm,
Second thing, I see the Asian market
mhm.
will definitely get a lot of clients because half of the Russia is extremely close to them, unlike the central part of it.
Mhm.
But mm, people are waiting for Turkey in summer,
Yeah.
and I believe it's a big shame because if they'll be able to catch the August sales,
Mhm,
that will be
mhm.
great. The overall sales structure I see as extremely not deep. People will not try to buy in
Yeah.
advance.
At the last minute,
We
last
it
second
will be
even.
absolutely last second in order not to give the money anywhere
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
just buy travel, buy travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, second thing, people would take the decision in I would say personally in more impulse buying at the
Mhm.
first point of view. It will
Okay.
not be carefully threaded, chosen. It will be good
Mhm.
offer, good price, good tickets. We have
Let's go.
ability. Let's
Mhm.
go. This is the model that we have seen after the 2014-15
Mhm.
crisis,
Mhm.
when just Russia was suffering.
Mhm.
Now the whole
Yeah.
world. So. Impulse buying, short-term sales. The duration of stay, I would still say, will remain between 7 to 10 nights,
Mhm.
except if we're talking about the long-range destinations where it's
Mhm.
usually 11 to 14 days.
Okay. Okay. So tell us as well, how are you? I mean, right now in this quarantine period, how are you spending, you and your team, the quarantine? I know you have been quite active, talking to many agencies, giving interviews. So.
Well, yes, surprisingly, having a lot of free time made me capable of involving into the public work
Mhm.
to influence the industry. I spent 60% of the time outside of Moscow in my home with my
Mhm.
family. Uh, 3 4 days a week, I come to the office to sort out the mail, to
Mhm.
do the essential activities. I mean, staff is mostly now is on paid leave,
Okay.
which is an issue. I mean, we are getting a lot of signals that we will be reimbursed by the government for the salaries, but
Mhm.
it's not a reimbursement, it's a credit facility. But
Mhm.
if this measure will be applied to us, it will allow us to, I mean, work. And I mean, my goal right now, I would say, is to maintain the number of people and my staff as
Mhm.
they have been clearly selected. We are not talking about layoffs right now,
Mhm.
but overall in the industry, they are going to happen.
Yeah.
We have maintained 95% of the staff that we were at the 1st of April, which is
Okay.
the target set by the government has to be not lower than 90%. So I would say with this measure, we would try to keep all of our people with us because we see them as an essential part of the
Mhm.
Renaissance period. But if the quarantine measures will go down into June and July,
Mhm.
definitely layoffs will happen because
Will
we
happen.
will not have as much workload
Yeah.
to make people basically earn their salary.
Yeah.
So overall, trying to stay positive. Not, I mean, one thing you and I mean not just you, definitely, and me and you understand is the situation is not nobody's fault. Nobody's in the
Yes.
industry, and a lot of people do take it personally, especially ones
Mhm.
working with the direct clients. I mean, they tend to get the blame on themselves for the
Mhm.
inability to fulfill the client's request for money, travel, vouchers,
Yeah.
documents. I personally don't let it go under my skin. Has
Mhm.
nothing that I have done or my team to make this situation to what
Happen.
it has
Yeah.
happened. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's force
absolutely not
majeure.
my
Yeah.
fault. I don't take any responsibility in terms of getting the part of blame on myself.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. That's that's the way to go. I mean, you need to filter all of this information somehow, and you need to filter it emotionally as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and staying at home. I mean, we have a lot of people uh, getting heavy on drinking. I would not advise because overall alcohol is a huge depressant and it will make you more sad in the end than happy.
yeah.
So try
Yeah.
to keep up to date with
Yeah.
exercises and self-education. I mean, I personally not
Self-education.
only involved in a lot of webinars, I watch them myself with the
Mhm.
being eager, especially the legal ones, because one of my education is law. So I tend to pick up my level. I even thought of getting maybe a practice for some cases. I mean,
that's good.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. So, and actually talking about law and the government help that you mentioned earlier. So, do you think there will be any, and will that go to the tour operators or the travel agencies? So, can you tell us a little bit more on that?
Honestly, a lot of talks have been said, and today in the morning when I was listening to Business FM, driving away to work, the Minister of Economics said the third part of the help to the Russian economy. And I wonder to myself, where are the first two? Because we didn't get it. I mean, are all the tour companies are enlisted in the list of the companies who have suffered the most. And we have this kind of list.
Yeah.
We are allowed not to pay taxes, but strangely, we have to do a lot of work not to pay the taxes, so easier to pay taxes. Second part, we are subjected to the 0% interest rate loans, but banks don't give it to us. Not, I mean, the minister himself in his Instagram has said that he has called 5 or 6 banks and he got a refusal. And after that, the president said that it's the measure is not working. So currently, I would say a lot of talking has been going on. A lot of attention has been at first dedicated to tourism, but now time either will come and some measures will be applied to the listed tour operators. Fortunately, not a single measure has been spoken about the travel agency. It remains our liability to take care of them. Yes, to take care of them, because they are the ones who are like not in the system of tourism. Many of them don't have the special coding system that the tour companies have, because any private interpreter can be a travel agent. And right now we are thinking that unless something will be done by the end of June, we will have a system crisis. If either the laws would be changed, either the direct financing for the loans will be provided, or the guarantee for the loans will be provided. And last issue that we are facing is insurance companies are not happy with renewing our liability insurance as a tour operators. This issue has now beginning to increase, and more attention will be guided to it. Hopefully, if the government will step into it, it will solve a big problem. If not, we are facing for another crisis. Well, tour companies will not be able to, tour operators, to sustain as a tour operators in the legal form.
Okay, so I know also, as I mentioned earlier, I've been talking a lot to agencies, assisting them, answering their questions. So what do you think the thing that they're worried about the most right now?
Well, right now they're worried that all the claims from their clients will go to court, and the clients will win all the claims with the returns, and the tour operators will not be able to immediately fully fill all the requests. Plus, agents will have to fully reimburse their commission, and many of them have spent that money on their life, on their offices. But basically, they have already declared it and paid taxes from it. And nobody is going to give you back the tax this year. You'll have to go apply for a refund for the next. So the biggest issue is that people will not be able to continue doing their work, the one they prefer. And second thing, people are not well educated in the legal form, and they do not understand what is actual threat in the claim of the client, or is some made bullshit that the client has imagined with the help of uneducated lawyers, which is another big issue. This scavengers are running around offering their services for like extremely low fee, writing the same number of same complaints to any tour operator, which have actually no legal authority if you look into them closely. So education, I mean, most of them are positive. some of them are willing to continue despite all the trouble, but their feeling of being left alone is strong right now. Strong. That's why I do a lot of talking, just to reassure them and show that some tour operators are on their side.
Yeah, and that's actually very thoughtful. I believe very important as well.
Well, you know, surprisingly, I've received a couple of claims, not claims, like remarks from the not the clients, tour agents, like, we see a lot of Artur Muradian on space travel. Maybe he's trying to skip something and to steer the shit up, you know. And it sounded to me like crazy, because unlike other tour companies, I'm the actual owner of the company, and my name is in the documents. If you look at the operators, the owners don't comply with the actual names in the Russian legal registration documents, and I basically have no choice to fight for my rights. But despite that, I believe that if me or other tour operator directors would speak up now to the industry, to the government, we will have a better chance of changing the situation. Then I would just sit at home, drink, and be quiet. This is the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, the laws need to be changed. I mean, the world is changing. It has changed right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even now, I'm trying to calm down the agents. I'm saying, guys, they're fighting you with the legal claims. No problem. Let's go to court. The process will take up to 2 years. I mean, anything can happen in 2 years. And even though right now the Supreme Court does not see a reason to change the procedure, he will. I mean, they will. It will. Because the world has changed. The issue is an extraordinary issue that will require extraordinary measures from all the parties.
So yeah, the world has definitely changed, and we are trying also to prepare for it. So how are you preparing for it? I know you have been trying to be creative. I know you are reviewing the laws. You're trying to influence the laws.
Well, in space travel, we are right now looking up to a different model of sales structure. We'll not go into it now because the process has just begun. But yes, we are thinking of the future. We are thinking of the ways to eliminate such risks, to reduce the supply chain without hurting any of the parties, but reduce their liability for basically, so that each party will be liable for its part of the deal. This would be more clear to the client. The payment process will be more clear to the client. Our work will have actual fixated earning part. Agents will have the airline will have its liability, return or non-return tickets. It will all be clear to the consumer. What we also do is now changing the structure of the company. Why not? The time has come. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of processes that need to be run down. So we do a lot of Zoom conferences, which are at first I would say they were pretty boring. People were like in hibernated state, and I had to a couple of times shake up my deputies and say, guys, you are being paid, not as much as you've been during the full work time, but I'm actually still paying for your time, and please get hold of yourself. We are in a working process. And that's why when I hear a lot of people speaking the future has come, people will now no need offices, I absolutely disagree. My opinion, 10% of the working people can work from home. 10 out of 100. This is my opinion. I personally hate working from home. I get distracted. I am lazy. I want to watch like series. I want to eat. I want to sleep. No, I need the office to be alive.
You need the environment.
I need my people. Yes.
Yeah, well, power to you. That's great. And you know, I mean, you mentioned the earlier also the crisis 2014, 15. I know in the last 30 years, Russia has gone through many of them, from the collapse to the default in '98 to the
yes. I mean, unlike the global, I mean, economical population, we have accustomed to suffering to different types of crises. With the Russians, the thing is, the level that people maintain the negative thoughts usually lasts up to 3 weeks to 1 month. After that, we get accustomed to the situation.
So we develop kind of an immune system, right, to the crisis.
We don't focus on the negative things. As soon as something positive happens, for example, the travel ban will lift it, you will see the people, despite that their overall level of life will go down a bit, they will start to travel, they will start buying, they will start spending, because Russians don't believe in savings. This is the probably the truest form of the Russian soul. We unfortunately cannot save. We don't believe in long-term future, especially in our currency. And this is the issue that why Russian clients are preferred in many resorts, because they spend like a last time.
Yeah, well, so we are looking forward, in fact, to the request and to come, and I'm sure all the hotels and the airlines and DMC is looking forward to welcome again the client.
Yes, we're definitely looking to getting back to a professional market, to getting the relations stronger, to establishing new means of doing business, of more support back to back than ever before.
Sure, definitely. Well, that was very insightful.
Thank you. Let's stay up to date with the Russian market, hopefully.
For sure. And yeah, for all the hoteliers, the suppliers listening. So I think we can take a few notes down. And once again, thank you very much. And,
thank you. Stay at your disposal, Narjess. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.